Margaret Lane had lived in the same white cottage on Primrose Circle for over 43 years. The shutters were slightly faded, and the garden had long since stopped blooming like it once did when her late husband, Harold, still trimmed the hedges every Saturday morning. But it was home, her home, the one place left in the world that still smelled like his pipe tobacco and felt like warm August evenings. At 80, Margaret was not as quick on her feet as she once was. Her knees ached in the mornings, and her vision had become soft around the edges. But she kept her mailbox clean, her lawn reasonably tidy, and always waved to the children walking past for school. Everyone in the neighborhood called her Ms. Margaret, and many of them had grown up under her watchful, gentle eye. So when a letter from the Rosewood Lakes Homeowners Association arrived with a $300 fine for improper garbage bin placement, Margaret thought it was a mistake. The letter claimed her trash bin was left on the curb for 16 hours past the pickup time. Margaret had fallen asleep early that day and didn't realize the bin hadn't been brought in. The next day, she dragged it back to its spot behind the gate. She didn't think twice about it. A week later, another letter came. This one warned that the unpaid fine would accrue a daily late fee. Margaret blinked at the paper, confused. "I thought I already explained that," she murmured, reaching for her landline and calling the number at the bottom of the letter. The woman who answered sounded 25 and unconcerned. "Ma'am, all fines are enforceable under Section 4B of the Rosewood Lakes Covenant. You can file a dispute online. I don't have a computer," Margaret replied gently. The call ended with a recommendation to find a neighbor who can help. But Margaret was too proud to ask anyone. Weeks passed. The fine ballooned to $1,620 with added legal and late fees. Then came the certified mail, intent to foreclose due to unpaid HOA violations. Foreclose. On her home, Margaret walked the envelope to her kitchen, set it on the counter, and stared at it like it was a ghost. Her hands trembled. That evening she took a slow walk to her neighbor Linda's house. Linda, in her late 30s with a toddler and a job at the county office, opened the door and immediately saw the distress on Margaret's face. I think they're trying to take my house," Margaret said. Linda read through the letters and her eyes widened. "You've got to be kidding me over this. This is extortion." Linda offered to contact the HOA board directly and even started a GoFundMe to help Margaret pay off the fine. It raised over $300 in 2 days. But when Linda sent a certified check to the HOA, they rejected it. "Payment not accepted due to ongoing legal action," the response said. Unbeknownst to Margaret, the HOA president, Victor Reese, had a history of aggressive fine enforcement. A retired attorney turned power-hungry enforcer, Victor believed in property value preservation at all costs. He'd already driven out 3 other elderly residents in the past 2 years. Margaret would be his 4th. Linda and several neighbors attended the next HOA board meeting on Margaret's behalf. When they brought up the foreclosure notice, Victor adjusted his glasses and smirked. Ms. Lane had ample opportunity to dispute the fine. "It's not our responsibility to accommodate her lack of technological access. She's 80 years old," one neighbor said. "That doesn't exempt her from the rules," Victor replied, flipping a page in his binder. Someone in the back of the room muttered, "This is evil." Victor banged the gavel. "Any further disruptions and this meeting will be adjourned." The foreclosure went through. Margaret was given 14 days to vacate. Her house was sold at auction to a private buyer, the profits going to cover legal costs incurred by the HOA. The day she left, Margaret sat on the edge of her porch holding a single cardboard box with a framed picture of Harold, a faded quilt, and her wedding ring. Linda stood beside her, tears in her eyes. "We're not done, Margaret," she said. "They're not going to get away with this." Linda and 10 other residents formed a coalition and dug deep into Victor's enforcement history. They uncovered years of aggressive foreclosures, misuse of funds, and collusion with a local real estate investor who routinely bought up the seized homes for below-market prices. They presented their findings at a public town hall with media present. The story exploded. Within weeks, a lawsuit was filed against the Rosewood Lakes HOA board for fraudulent foreclosure practices and elder abuse. Victor resigned in disgrace, and several board members were investigated for financial misconduct. Under court order, the HOA was required to compensate wrongfully foreclosed residents, but Margaret never returned to her home. She moved in with her niece in another town. Linda called her every week. "I miss my garden," Margaret once whispered. A year later, a plaque was quietly placed under the tree in Margaret's old yard, the one Harold planted when they first moved in. It read, "For Margaret Lane, you were always home here."